Hey guys, welcome back to a new biology with Zhangshen video. So today we are continuing the Cambridge IGCSE Combined Science series. Today we are doing the paper 4 theory extended, the May-June 2023, paper 4 variant 1. So like I said, that combined science is a combination between bio, chem and physics, and this will be the I won't be doing a lot of videos relating to chem and physics, but then today this will be another video where you see me explaining chemistry and physics together. Okay, and let's start off with the first question. Alright, question number 1A is biology. So figure 1.1 shows the circulatory system of frogs and the circulatory system of humans. So they give you two kinds of systems there, and now the part 1 says that identify the type of blood vessel labeled X. Okay, label X in figure 1.1, which is this. If you can see, it's coming from the left atrium by the left ventricle, so this is usually the artery. Okay, so the first one is artery. Part 2, describe one difference between the frog heart and the human heart shown in figure 1.1. So my answer I put is the septum, because look at the frog, we don't really have a septum in the middle, but you can see in humans there's like a section that's been cut between to separate the two different types of blood. And then there could be other things that you can say that frog has only 3 chambers, okay, 3 chambers, while humans we have 4 chambers. Okay, and then you can also say that frogs has only one type of ventricle, while the human have 2 ventricles. Okay, so part 3, humans have a double circulatory system. Explain the advantages of double circulatory system. So I think this is a very general question you will see in book biology. So is that the oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood is separated, and also only high pressure blood flows away from the heart, which is carried by the arteries. B, a study investigate the risk factors for CHD. A sample of people with CHD record the risk factors they have. Some people in the study record have more than one risk factor. Table 1.1 shows the result, so they ask you to see the table. Part 1, identify the risk factor recorded by the highest percentage of people. To see the highest number, which is 70, which is the lack of physical activity. Part 2, there are 350 people in the study. Calculate the number of people that record being overweight. So there's 54 times by 350 divided by 100 to get 189 people. So this is just mathematics. Okay. Part 3, the risk factors in table 1.1 are linked to lifestyle that can be changed, but state one risk factor for CHD that is not linked with lifestyle. So there's a lot of answers to this, but then I give 2 is one is genetics and one is age. C, eating more fruits and vegetables is one way to help reduce the risk of CHD. Explain why eating more fruits and vegetables can also reduce the risk of scurvy and constipation. So scurvy is because we can eat more fruits and vegetables because they have a higher amount of vitamin C, which can help to prevent scurvy. Same for constipation is when eating skins of vegetables and fruits can give amount of fiber, which can also help to prevent constipation. Alright, question number 2. This is chemistry, electrolysis. So an electric current is passed through the concentrated aqueous sodium chloride using inert electrodes, okay, as shown in figure 2.1. So they give you the setup of how an electrolysis would look like for the concentrated aqueous sodium chloride. So part A says that table 2.1 shows the names, the formulae and sources of ions in concentrated aqueous sodium chloride. Complete table 2.1. So this is actually very simple. So the name of the ion will be used is chloride, which is Cl minus, and then the source of ion is coming from sodium chloride. How can you make sure? It's because sodium chloride comes from 2 gaseous ions, Na plus and Cl minus. Hydrogen is H plus and it comes from water, because water they will produce H plus and OH minus, that's which forms the H2O. Hydroxide OH minus is coming from both hydrogen and water because it's O and H. Sodium Na plus sodium chloride. Alright. Part 2. State how the concentration of chloride ions changes during the electrolysis. Explain your answer. So they're asking you what is the effect of the changes in the concentration of these ions. So it will decrease. That is the key part. Why? Because the chloride ions will be used to form the products of the electrolysis. Okay. B. State the chemical test for the hydrogen and the observation for a positive result. So we test using a lighted splint and the observation will be a squeaky pop. Okay. C. A solution of blue litmus indicator is added to an aqueous sodium chloride. When the current is first turned on, the litmus indicator at the positive electrode turns red. Part 1. Explain why litmus indicator turns red. So when the litmus indicator shows its red color, it means that acid is produced. So this is the keyword. Part 2. As the electrolysis progresses, the red litmus indicator changes color. State and explain this color change. Okay. You know it's being added to aqueous sodium chloride. So the color change will be from red color to colorless. Why? Is because the litmus paper has already been bleached by chlorine. Okay. Question 3. This is physics. So figure 3.1 shows two people keeping warm by a campfire and one is playing a guitar, linking with thermophysics and sound. A. State the process by which the people are warmed by energy coming directly from the fire. So they ask you by the process, which is actually the radiation. B. Hot air carries smoke from the fire high into the cold air. Explain why the hot gases arise. Use ideas about molecules in your answer. So we will use the concept of molecules first, then only explain how the hot air rises. So the molecules have gained the kinetic energy and starts to move faster, causing the gas molecules to expand and also to move further apart from each other, because gaseous molecules will eventually move further away from each other. Therefore, the hot air is much less dense and it begins to rise. C. The person in figure 3.1 plays a guitar string which emits a musical note of a frequency 256 Hz. Part 1. State how the musical note is produced by the guitar string when played. So it's by the vibrating string. Part 2. Calculate the wavelength of the musical note. Speed of sound in air is 330 meters per second. So we use the formula V equals to F lambda. V is the speed of sound, F is the frequency, lambda is the wavelength. So just sub in your formula and you get lambda equals to 1.29 meters. So your answer is 1.29. Part 3. The sound is transmitted through the air as a succession of compressions and rarefactions. Describe what is meant by a succession of compressions and rarefaction. So we talk about what is the meaning of succession first. Succession of compression or rarefaction in waves means that it is formed and is also repeated. Okay, because compression shows the waves are much closer together or much tightly packed, and rarefaction is usually moved further apart from each other, because you know that in longitudinal wave it looks like this, and then compression will look like this, and rarefaction would have much space between, and then we got back. Okay. Question 4a. Figure 4.1 shows part of a food web. We're back to biology. Part 1. Table 4.1 shows terms that can be used to describe the organisms in figure 4.1. Complete table 4.1 by placing ticks in the boxes show the term used to describe each organism. One column has been done for you. So flying squirrel, you can see it's after the fruit, which is the herbivore. Owl is on the third trophic level and is after the herbivore, which should be the secondary consumer, because this is the primary consumer, this will be the secondary consumer. The cougar is the secondary consumer too, because 1, 2, 3, or first consumer, secondary consumer. Alright, and the fruit will be the producer. Very simple. Part 2. Energy flows through the food web shown in figure 4.1. More energy is available at the trophic level occupied by the beaver than the cougar. So because the cougar is at a higher trophic level, and most of the energy is lost between the trophic levels by lots of types. excretion, respiration, alright, something like that. Okay, B. Most edible fruits are produced by insect-pollinated plants. State 2 ways the pollen is adapted for insect pollination. I always think that pollen looks like this. So when you accidentally touch pollen sometimes, right, it's very sticky. So sticky is one of it, and it also have a little bit of spikes. You can feel a bit of spiky type of texture. So it has spikes. Question 5, chemistry. Table 5.1 shows some information about alkanes and alkenes. We are in organic chemistry. So they give you a table 5.1 of all of the alkanes and alkenes being listed, and A says the general formula of alkanes is CnH2n plus 2. Deduce the general formula of alkenes. So let's see how ethene is formed. So we know that it's C2H4, meaning this is carbon number 2. So if it's to get 4, it's definitely 2 times n, because the third one is 2 times 3, which you get 6. Then 2 times 4, you get 8. So therefore, the formula for alkenes is CnH2n. Alright. B. Complete the table by filling in the formulae for ethane and octene. Okay. So ethane is CnH2n plus 2. So 2 times 2 plus 2, you get 6. So the H is 6. Octene is an alkene, therefore it's C8 times H 2 times 8, which is 16. So the answer is C8H16. C. Figure 5.1 shows the structure of ethene and propene. Part 1. Ethene and propene are unsaturated hydrocarbons. State what is meant by unsaturated and hydrocarbons. Unsaturated means that it contains a carbon-carbon double bond or a CC double bond. Hydrocarbons are compounds which contains carbon and hydrogen only. Okay. Part 2. Explain why methane does not exist. This is a form of alkene with 1 carbon only. So I would say it's because it only contains 1 carbon, but alkene requires a minimum of 2 carbon to form 1 double bond, because it's an unsaturated hydrocarbon. So that is the reason why. D. Refinery gas obtained from petroleum contains both propane and butane. State 1 use of refinery gas. This must be your understanding of the fractionating column. So refinery gas is used for cooking. Okay, it's the most simple one that you can get from it. Part 2. Similar why. Explain why propane and butane are in the same fraction. So propane and butane is coming from the ane, which is alkane, meaning they have the same functional group or the same homologous series. When they have the same homologous series, what happens is that they have a similar boiling point. They have a much closely related physical properties, okay, I would say. So one of it would be the similarity of the boiling point. 6. This is back to physics. Figure 6.1 shows a moving conveyor belt carrying a box from the ground up to an aircraft. So this is not to scale. So A, part 1, complete the sentence. The gravitational force acting on the box is called the weight of the box, because the gravitational force is relating to what happens in F equals to mg. Okay, so part 2. The conveyor belt carries the box upward by the force of friction exerted by the belt on the box. On figure 6.1, draw an arrow to show the direction of the force due to the friction belt on the box. The arrow must be in contact with the box. So I think it would be this one. Okay, if it's wrong, do let me know in the comment section. I will quickly review and rectify it. B. The conveyor belt is 5 meters long and moves at the box of 0.2 meter per second. Calculate the time taken by this box to travel from the ground to the top of the conveyor belt. So they give you the speed and then they give you the distance. So your distance equals to speed over time. Then we just move around, we get time equal to distance over speed. Just divide it, you get 25 seconds. C, part 1. The box has a mass of 45 kg. This will be assuming its weight. The conveyor belt carries to the aircraft 2 meters above the ground. The gravitational force on the mass is 10 Newton per kg. I'm so sorry, this will be the mass. So how they want to calculate the gain in the gravitational potential energy of the box when it reaches to the aircraft. So we use GPE equals to mgh, mass times gravitational force times the height. So you get 45 times 10 times 2, 900 joules. Okay, this is in energy, joules. Part 2. When the box reaches the aircraft, it is placed on the floor inside. The base of the box is 60 cm times 50 cm. This will be telling you the area of the box. Calculate the pressure exerted by the box on the floor of the aircraft. Give the units of your answer. So we use pressure equals to force over area. So 45 times 10, because I am in kg, I need to times it to become Newton. 45 times 10 divided by 60 times 50. This is the dimensions provided, and my answer is 0.15 Pascal. You can either put Pascal or Newton per meter per second square. Okay, I think it's meter per second. Sorry, Newton cm square. Newton per cm square. 7a. Two young potted plants are left to grow in a room with no light. Plant A is placed standing upright, plant B is placed on its side. Figure 7.1 shows the two plants after 10 days. 1. Lack of light causes the leaves to turn yellow. Complete the sentences. The yellow color of the leaves in figure 7.1 is due to a decrease in the green pigment called chlorophyll. Less light energy is converted to chemical energy in the chloroplast. This results in reduced synthesis of carbohydrates. Or you want to write glucose, I think it's acceptable because glucose is a form of carbohydrate. Part 2. Explain why the stem of plant B bends upwards. So this is by the tropic responses. So I would say it's because of gravitropism, as oxygen is produced at the shoot's tip and is most concentrated on the side of the shoot, which causes cell elongation. Okay. B. Figure 7.2 shows part of a plant root. Describe how the cell labeled X is adapted for its function. So it has a very large surface area for more efficient absorption of water and mineral ions, because this is a plant root. C. During eutrophication, aquatic plants die. This decreases the concentration of dissolved oxygen in lakes. One reason for this is the reduction in photosynthesis. Explain one other way the death of the aquatic plants reduces the concentration of dissolved oxygen in lakes. So the decomposers will break down the plants using its oxygen from the surrounding, of course, for aerobic respiration to release energy to help to break down the plants, Okay, so question number 8. An iron nail is placed in a test tube as shown in figure 8.1. We have air, and this is an iron nail, and this will relate to rusting. Okay, so part A. After 1 week, a layer of rust has formed on the nail. The equation for the reaction that forms rust is shown below. So they ask you to balance the equation. So let's just have a look how are we going to balance this. So we have 4Fe, meaning we need to have 4Fe on the product. So therefore 2 times 2 will be 4. This is fixed. Now I want to find O3. Since I have 2 times of Fe2O3, 2 times O3 will be 6 oxygen. Therefore, I need 3 oxygen on the reactant. So 3 times O2 will be 6O2. Okay. Should be, like 6 molecules of oxygen. Part 2. The symbol for an oxide ion is O2 minus. Deduce the symbol for the iron in Fe2O3. Okay. They give you O2 minus. Well, how do we get this 3? This 3 is from the iron, therefore it's Fe3 plus. Because when you do the crisscross rule, right, in the shoelace method, you get Fe, the 2 bring up down, and O, the 3 will bring down from the Fe, you get Fe2O3. Therefore the answer is Fe3 plus. B. Rusting can be prevented by using a barrier method. Part 1. Describe how barrier method prevents rusting. It puts a barrier to not allow oxygen and water to enter. And they ask you for an example of a barrier method. Very simple, would be painting or greasing with oil. That would be that can work. C. The arrangement of bonds in the molecule of oxygen is shown in figure 8.2. State the number of electrons which are shown between the oxygen molecules in this molecule. Give a reasons for your answer. Okay, from this one, you don't really know how is it going to look like. So what am I going to do is that I'm going to show you the Lewis dot structure and how are we forming this molecule. So we know that oxygen is 2.6 in electronic configuration. It has 6 on the valence electron. So I will try to form 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, you can see that they give it is a double bond here. So I will take one bond first to form one of it. Also, I will remove one here also on the side, because here is containing one bond, two bond already. It's being shared between. Then I take another one more. Okay, alright. This will be balanced already. You can see because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8, which I've achieved octet configuration, or meaning the most stable configuration, because we need at least 2.8. So the question says that give a reason for your answer the number of electrons which are shared between. So shared between would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So the answer is 4. Reason is because it has a double bond with 2 electrons in each bond. 2 electrons, 1 set, 2 sets. Okay. D. At room temperature, iron oxide is a solid and oxygen is a gas. Explain why iron oxide and oxygen have different physical states. Okay, let's see what we can deduce from here. Iron oxide is Fe2O3, right? And oxygen is just O2. So Fe2O3 is what we call as an iron oxide, is an ionic compound. And O2 is just a simple covalent molecule or simple molecule. So oxygen is a simple covalent and iron oxide is an ionic compound. The forces between particles are stronger than oxygen. In Fe2O3, because it's an ionic compound, it's forming from 2 ions which have strong electrostatic attraction. Therefore, the forces between the particles in Fe2O3 is stronger than oxygen molecule itself. Okay? Question number 9. Figure 9.1 shows a student using a laptop computer. There is a lamp beside the student. A. Figure 9.2 is a diagram of the student lamp in the computer from the same viewpoint as figure 9.1. The ray in figure 9.2 shows how the student sees the light from the lamp reflected in the laptop computer screen. State the law of reflection of light. Your answer should include the word normal. Okay, so from the law of reflection light, you know the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. So this is the I, this is the R. We know it's I equals to R. Now they want to say include the word normal. Okay, when we are drawing this kind of angle of incidence and angle of reflection, the reflection of light has what we call a normal. And you know that the angle measured here is the same as the angle measured in the reflection. So the incident angle must be the same with the reflection angle. Therefore, the angles are all measured to the normal. It must be towards the normal and not towards the computer screen. This is not acceptable. It should be here. Theta, theta. Okay. B. The lamp is connected to the laptop computer by a cable to supply power at 5 volts. The current in the lamp is 0.020 amps. 1. Calculate the resistance of the lamp. We use resistance equals to voltage over current. So 5 divided by 0.020, you get 250 ohms. Okay. Part 2. Calculate the power rating of the lamp. So we have I, we have V, and the only formula that relates to power is P equals to IV. So 5 times 0.020 equals to 0.10 watts. Part 3. The lamp contains 2 identical components called the light emitting diodes connected in parallel. The switch and the resistors are connected series with the LEDs. The symbol for an LED is shown in 9.3. In figure 9.3, complete the circuit diagram for the lamp circuit using the correct circuit symbol. So they want you to draw another LED, which is this one. And then we need a resistor and also one switch. This is how you get your 3 marks. So that is all for this paper. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy this video. See you guys next time. Bye bye.